Hey team, it's Gary at DLC Head Office. Thank you for joining us for session number 2 of our high performance mortgage training series. Nice to have you all back. I know after last time we had some audio issues. If you have any audio issues as we go through it today, please send me a message on the chat or send an email to tara@dlc.ca. I have my team sort of monitoring that. Regardless of the audio difficulties that we had in the first kind of 13 or 14 minutes last session, the feedback was really excellent. And I had so many of you just, summarize your takeaways and follow up with me and shared with the steps that you're going to be taking. So today, as I go through segments, I'm going to just stop on a couple of occasions, and I'm going to have you also just quickly jot down your 3 best takeaways. It's like anything else, the most important thing as we move forward in our businesses is just execution. So we talked a lot about leadership last time, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to give a summary, a 15 or 20-minute summary probably of everything we talked about last time. There's some people on the call this time that weren't on last time that obviously want to hear that. But more importantly, I said to you last time, the number 1 responsibility of a leader is to lead by example. And the number 2 responsibility of a leader is to remind. We have to constantly remind our team of our expectations, of what we will tolerate, what we won't, what is offside, and the points that, can make a little difference to kind of build their business. So I'm going to start with sort of reminding you of the things that we spoke about. The first thing that we probably spent the most time on last time was not about nuts and bolts of the business. It was actually just on nuts and bolts of leadership, and knowing how impactful you are and what your words are, and more importantly, your actions in front of your team, in front of your lenders, in front of your community, in front of your partners. And it's something that I know sounds so easy, but it's much more difficult than that to do it consistently. So I'm going to go through a lot of that stuff today. I'm also going to take you through, I have a list of what I call Gary Mauris, my own 25 set of golden rules that I make sure that all of my presidents and all of our leaders have. So I won't read you all 25, but I'll read you 17 or 18 of them. It just kind of gives you an idea of sort of how I think and some basic principles that have helped us, build our organization. We're going to go and review that recruiting program, how to recruit anyone in your market that you want. As we know, it doesn't happen, tomorrow or even next week, but over time, you can literally, bring anybody on your team that you want. If you're patient, good people always eventually find each other. It's just a matter of those steps that you take consistently over and over to make them feel special and validated. And then when the opportunity is there and, there's been a straw that's broke the camel's back, then you'll find these people reaching out and wanting to join your team. If we have time, we're going to go into repeat and referral customers, how important they are, how we should stay in touch with them, how often we should stay in touch with them. And part of that includes having a staff member or hiring a director of WOW. I'm going to talk about how to hire that director of WOW, what that director of WOW should be doing, and what I think it'll do for your business. And then also, if we get to it, we're going to talk about ways to avoid the broker graveyard, ways to, make sure that your business doesn't make the mistakes that so many businesses make, areas of concern, areas to overspend, communication, making investments in technology, building, that sort of stuff. Just a summary of best practices, getting good at saying no, and those things that from a financial component are going to really help you sort of think differently in your business. So I'm going to jump right in, guys. Again, as I said last week, this is going to be a challenge, right? It's going to be a mind bend for you. You're going to hear a lot of information. That's why I want to have kind of the breakout segments, where you take away 1, 2, and 3 good ideas. You're not going to be able to, probably keep up with me. You're not going to be able to absorb all the ideas. Some are going to be relevant. Some are not going to be relevant. They may not be relevant today, but they might be as your team grows. Virtually all of you are on this call except for 1 or 2 of you have a team or a team leader or a franchise owner. And this is something that I'm going to be spending a lot of time on this year. What I have realized just putting these two components together is that probably 2 hours is too long of a segment. So I'll start building these into 60-minute segments. And I think I can just really drill in on topics. I have set up the question and answer section today. So if I am speaking and there's a question, I'll certainly read the question. If I can get to it, I will. If it's a question that I think isn't reflective and valuable to all on the call, then I may, call you offline afterwards. If it is, then it's a good question that I think is worth sharing, then I'll certainly jump in and try to answer that question for you. So as I said, it's going to be a cognitive triathlon. You're going to take a lot in. I'm not going to go through my background this time. You heard that last time. But what I want to remind all of you is that, like anything in life, whatever you pay attention to gets improved. In this case, your business, it could be your health, your relationships at home, your family, we just have to know that anything we look at, and look at day in, day out, when we put that attention to it, it always gets improved. It's virtually impossible not to. I want to sort of, again, set you up for some expectations. Being the very best is hard, right? You've taken the first step, you're here. I can tell you already that we've had probably a 20% drop off. Those people that attended the first call that sent me with follow-up said, oh my God, it was fantastic. I got so many takeaways. Great. I can't wait for the next one. And then today, even with a reminder, they're not on the call. And that's just drift. People just got busy. They go, oh my God, I forgot. I scheduled into my appointment. I'm meeting a customer. Or I had a doctor's appointment, or my, child was going to the dentist, whatever it happens to be. Right. And that kind of behavior obviously happens. We all get it. But it's the consistent behavior where you give yourself the gift of time and focus, and you're not multitasking and sending texts as we're, spending time together today. That's really going to make a difference. And that's why I call it a cognitive triathlon. It's so easy to get, sort of outside of that, to drift, to get distracted. But there's going to be some really key points that, for some of you are going to resonate, massively. And you want to make sure that you're dialed in order to do that. So what I'm hoping and what I expect from you is I'm hoping you'll find, this segment thought-provoking. All we want to do is resonate some new ideas with you, have you do a takeaway. You go, wow, that's something that I can start doing today. And then I want to remind you of areas that we can make, tweaks, especially around leadership, because without leadership, you don't have a business. You're going to think you have a business for a short period of time, but you're always going to be a slave to the business. You're not going to have people that are dialed in, raving fans, and want to help you serve and have a common goal. So you're going to be stuck. And if you've been stuck in a certain business at a certain level for a long time, that's probably why. The good news is that you're here and that you're open, and that, you're saying, hey, listen, feed me. I'm willing to, to learn and absorb. And for that, I thank you. Most important thing is anything I say today is not to have you, hang up and say, I'm going to tear down my business and completely start over. You all have good businesses. You all have been in the mortgage space for, an extended period of time. There's a lot of good in your business. I'm just looking for you to take some tweaks and some minor revisions on the areas that you think. The other thing I realized is that, I made a list of 30 topics. And there's so many topics that I think I can be helpful with. And, those of you on this call will continue for those that want to break away and do some additional calls, as I said, in 60-second segments. Because as I start talking through tax strategies and culture and wow strategies and working with referrals and staying in touch with past customers and, recruiting in your area and getting maximum, dollars out of your lender relationships, and the list goes on and on and on. I just realize how much that we have sort of absorbed over the years, and how many, sessions of best practices that we have been involved in that, that will be really valuable for us to share. The powerful thing we talked about last time, remind everyone, is that, our world is changing. You heard me say last time that in the next 10 years, 2/3 of all wealth is going to be, controlled by female. There's a huge movement around new immigrants and females. When you're hiring, look to hire, when you can, a badass female. They are, especially in our business, are so impactful in all the home buying decisions. I said last time, they make 91% of the decisions on the home, 66% of the decisions on buying computers, 92% decisions around vacation, 89% of the decisions around, how you spend your money in your household, and 93% of the decisions around food. So just wanted to remind you that again, guys, some of you have heard this and you're going to get, if you didn't, maybe if it didn't resonate the first week, make sure if it does this week that you make a check mark on it. We talked about, building a thriving business. I mean, you all have businesses. So the difference is, how do we take that business now to the next level? I mean, how do we really make those changes so that next year and the year after and the year after, we have a plan to where we're going to go? The old saying from Alice in Wonderland, if you don't have a plan, any road will take you there. And these sessions are really about you just starting to have a plan, putting it on paper, sharing it with your team, getting everyone bought in. You heard me say it's not rocket science, but it is a science. There is a system. There is, steps. So we're going to cover some of those steps. We are constantly learning and adding on. So the steps that I had last week is going to be there this week, but there's going to be a whole bunch of new steps, and we are always adding and learning every single day in order to continue to tweak, this program. I want to just sort of talk about a couple things that seem to be the DNA of every top performer. A lot of you know that we had our national sales conference in Cancun. We had 8 out of our top 10 agents in Canada. We had a panel hosted by me that first night in Cancun. It was remarkable. I mean, the average income of those top 8 performers, actually the top 10, but 2 weren't there, is 1.6 million. The average transaction volume is 425 transactions per year. The average staff that they had working for them is themselves and a team of 3 or 4. But yet they have $1.6 million in gross commission. Our average mortgage broker, all 3 networks in Canada, DLC, MTC, and MA, is about $94,000. So, as you get better and become the best, if I look at your averages, you're making 17 times more than the DLC group average and about 21 times more than the actual industry average. So it's very worthwhile to become, the very best and learn best practices. And you'd be surprised on, in my opinion anyway, how easy it is. Number one, it's not easy. It's a grind. There's tons of hard work. There's late hours. It's, a matter of, responding quickly. My mom used to always say to me, don't ever let anyone outwork you. And, to be extraordinary, that's important. It gets easier. The more successful you get, the actual less you have to work. Because the more money you're making, you have the ability to hire more staff. You become a better owner. You get to understand what to do with those staff and how to make them, highly productive. So, I know you gotta, obviously put a lot of work in as you're building your business, but it does get easier. And, you heard me say last time, you ever notice rich people that never seem to be working? They're always away on holidays and on the golf course and that sort of stuff. It's because they have really, really committed people. And they've been successful by working hard and doing all the right stuff, where they have enough revenue coming in to, employ more people that make their job easier. And the other thing, and I can't remind you clearly enough how important this is. Just being grateful, finding ways in your day to thank people, reaching out to your underwriters, to your BDMs, to your brokers, just randomly and out of the blue, and just telling them you're thinking about them and how you really appreciate them. The impact on that is, I just can't understate it. People like to be valued and appreciated, and so many owners make the mistake of thinking that their people are loyal to them. They've been there a long time and they're fine, and they see them 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times a year, and they think that's enough. It's not enough. You're never going to keep those people long term. It's only a matter of time before somebody whacks you. So you have to love your people. And the best way to do that is be grateful for the contributions they make, and just for the sort of the joy that they bring to your life. As honestly, as silly as that sounds, I mean, that is a reality. The other thing, and I was talking to Arash the other day, one of our guys in this call, and I said it's important though. It can't be forced, right? You can't say something or speak to someone or reach out to somebody, was forced. It has to be genuine and authentic. You have to really kind of feel that way or think that way or find something that they're doing that you can, reach out and connect with, because if they think it's forced and you're just trying to make them feel good because you're trying to hit your numbers, because Gary Morris has told you that it's effective, it's all for naught, and it will actually work in reverse. I want to talk about just, excuses. We talked about those last time. And I could say that I've heard every excuse in the entire market. But when I look at our top 5 or 50% of our top brokers in Canada, 50% are first generation or second generation. In other words, their parents, left somewhere, whether it was, China or Hong Kong or Vietnam. They came here as professionals. They left, Vietnam as a accountant, as a architect, as a lawyer, and they moved their young family here, and they came to Canada, and they had to take jobs as, cooks and as house cleaners. So what happened though is that their kids who came here just saw that hard work. They mimicked their parents, and they knew they wanted to, have a better life. So it was ingrained very early. It's like, trying to be very grateful with your children. If you ingrain it very early, it's going to open so many doors and make life so much easier for them. But if you look at these this immigrant mix, that's 50% that has come into Canada. If you look at them, they are 50% of our top performers. And you think that we had it tough, being raised here. They knew no one when they came in. They had no social circle. They didn't know the mortgage business whatsoever. They just had a huge work ethic. So I want to talk about that a little bit. A lot of you, as you go through here, will, might be sitting on the call right now and go, yeah, I know, I've heard this, Gary, and I heard some of this last week. But it's a reminder, because I can tell you that every single one of you on this call right now has had and seen some iteration. Someone has said something that I'm going to say. You've seen it in the speaker before, and you know that you should be doing it. Some of you are doing part of it. Some of you have been doing it in the past. Some of you have slid. You're not doing it now. Some of you have become way more casual. Some of you think you have excuses that nobody else has. Oh, no, God, you don't understand. I have sick parents. I'm going through a divorce. My wife took everything. My children don't love me anymore. My interest rates in my market are higher. The Alberta oil crisis. It goes on and on. I'm busy. I'm a parent. My market is different. The rate's too high. The rate's too low. I hate Justin Trudeau. All those things I said last week, those are all excuses. And if you continue to tell yourself, that those excuses are okay, and you justify them for the reason why you're not working at your peak performance, I can't help you. I really can't. You have to, take confession and look at yourself, and you have to make a list right now of what areas in my life, what excuses am I using, and then I'm justifying why I couldn't, go to the National Sales Conference, or why I'm not going to MPC, or why I didn't go see a lender when they were speaking in my town last week, or whatever reason that you think that you're not doing something. There's a reason behind it. That's called an excuse, and most of it is excuse. The worst excuse in the world these days, and has become a plague, is I'm busy. I'm busy. All that means is I'm busy. I'm busy. That means I'm busy till I can't make the time to invest in myself and my business because I don't, deem it valuable enough. Everyone just says, I'm busy, no other excuse. That's a terrible excuse. It is the absolute worst one. The other excuse I hear all the time is that I need better technology. I need a CRM. Man, if you would have saw our panel of our top 10 brokers on there, and, you see these guys are staying in touch with every single customer, 4 to 6 times per year. They're making their phone calls every single day. A lot of them are running their business on Excel. You don't need better systems. You need better habits, period. You need better habits, not better systems, right? One of the speakers was talking about, Steve Scanlan, that making changes in business, making changes in health, making changes anywhere in life, you have to embrace the suffering. So in other words, it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be easy for a while. But once you embrace the suffering and just know this is part of the journey, that is where, game changers happen. It just, you have to, that's why I said, don't completely redo your business when you get feedback and advice, but please redo your mindset. You've heard me say before that training is not an event. You don't do it once and say, okay, I got it. It was good. I did it last session. You do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and you attend and you get yourself engaged. And I promise you, if you do, the best investment you make in yourself will be the best investment you make in your life, in your family, in your business. Life will be better. The more I do, the better I get. So, what I'm trying to do is just instill this in all of you. that are on this call right now, because I want you to start thinking that way. It is not easy. We know that. So guys, the old mind jail where you think, oh yeah, it doesn't relate to me, or I've been there, I've heard that before, or I've seen that, please take yourself out of that mind jail. It's a common affliction. It affects millions, and I've seen it affect, many people in the Canadian mortgage space. The other thing is victim mentality. And God, if you're doing it at home, you're doing it in front of your kids, you're doing it with your wife. We know everyone mimics everyone. Oh my God, this guy owes me money and he did this and he did this to me last year. Get over it, right? If you can't get past your past, then, you got a big problem. Like I had a friend of mine recently that we had a bit of a falling out with, a few years ago. And I love this individual. And, I instantly, an hour after we had our fight, I'm talking many years ago, said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Listen, let's just put it behind us. And for whatever reason, this person was of Italian descent and very feisty and, in her mind comes from the, Sicilian descent, and we don't forgive. And it was something very, what I thought to be, not that serious. And I just recently saw this person again. And, although, we had made strides, it was never the same. The person is still holding a grudge and couldn't forgive. And, honestly, I left there and I felt sorry for her. I just like that's to carry that baggage around. I feel just absolutely, very, very, very sad for her. So guys, jump in. What is the definition of a high performance team? It's a common vision, a common goal, and it's a team where we're all rowing our boat in the same direction and we hold each other accountable to achieve outstanding results. It's communication between the team. It's great leadership. Your team only runs as fast or as hard or is as professional as the leader. Jim Rohn said, if you want to be a leader who attracts quality people, the key is to become a quality person. So areas in your life where, you let slide and you make a mistake and you overreact, or you speak to an underwriter maybe a little bit more, curt than maybe what you should have. Just make a mental check mark on that and say, next time I'm not going to do that, right? And you'll find that, the old saying, you get more bears with, honey than you do vinegar. It's so true in not only in the mortgage space, guys, in every space. Now, listen, when you have to fight and defend and someone is steamrolling you or spreading untruths or innuendo, well, then you fight like a mofo badger, right? If they're coming, they're going to get it. But, you don't ever go picking that fight. You try to be as kind as you possibly can. You go the other way. And I think, just being grateful, as we talked about, and being that hard worker who goes the extra mile and no one's looking, very rarely are you going to have many of those fights. And we can talk about when is the right time to get in. So I want to just sort of remind you guys, and I'll do it fairly quick, but some of those leadership traits. A leader sets the pace, shares and promotes the vision. We talked about his number one job as a leader to lead by example. If you don't exhibit high performance, behavior, then you're not going to build a high performance team. You're not going to attract high performance people. You're only going to attract the qualities that you exhibit. It really is that simple. There is no exceptions. There might be an exception for a short period of time. You might fool people, but character always eventually reveals itself. A lot of us think that, hey, I now have an employee or 2 employees or 10 employees or 100 employees. I'm a boss, and they walk around like the boss. And rather than finding ways to find something good in what someone's doing every single day, they think the job as the boss is to find ways to make corrections. Well, listen, he did it this way, but you could do it this way. Or to criticize them or give them advice on how they could do it better. That is counterintuitive, counterproductive. As a leader, you're finding ways to celebrate and recognize your top performers. Managers are looking to work with their worst performers. We don't want to work with our least worst performers if they don't, get into the game. If they aren't working to become A players, then our job as leaders is to, obviously liberate those B and C and D players. In our world, hopefully, there's only A players. There's not B and C players. If you're not an A player, you're an F player. So you have to, understand the difference between being a boss and being a leader. A leader recognizes top performers. A leader walks around every single day and tries to find something, that he's impressed with or he admires in one of his workers. And as little as it is, he drops a little note or, shares it with them or whispers in their ear. And all he's doing is building raving fans, right? We're teaching people that, hey, listen, you're doing a lot more good than making mistakes. We're going to recognize that. And then guess what happens? They get more comfortable, they get more happy, they love their job, they come to you, they share more information. Seems very, very simple, but I see it all the time, and people All right, guys. Well, I'm hoping that I'm back on now. Send me a quick text. I believe I am. Looking at the chat here. You know what? This is actually all good. Yeah, thank you. You know, it's, as as silly as this is, I'm actually joyful that this happens to me again, and I don't know why, just dropped off. Just going to turn my phone on airplane mode here again. I'm happy that it dropped off again, because you know what, here's the lesson. You know, shit happens, right? Nothing is ever easy, and it's, I guess, not supposed to be easy. And if it can happen to us, it can happen to everyone. So, thank you guys for tuning in. I'll just jump right back in. So what we were talking about is we're talking about that friend of mine, and we're talking about being the leader and everyone mimicking you, obviously. And that friend of mine who was a suit and tie guy that turned into a cowboy hat and blue jean guy just by spending time in his environment. So it's really important. I told the story last week about the woman with 6 kids, and all 6 kids were screwed up, not because of what she said, but because of her body language and and what she believes. As a leader in your office, you are leading in front of everyone. You're leading in front of your lenders, your underwriters, your BDMs. You are leading in front of your children at home. You're leading in front of your family. Anyone who crosses your path is watching what you do. It doesn't matter where you go, how you respond, your tonality, your speed of response. People are watching that, and if they're part of your team, that's what they're going to mimic. If being casual and aloof and dismissive is what you've gotten into the habit of being, unfortunately, because you're tired of the business, your team members, your underwriters, your brokers are going to be that same way. If you're buttoned up and you're high energy and you are professional and that you're always on, you're going to get that as well. As a leader, your job, and this is very important, in your company and anywhere you go in the industry, and anytime you're at an event, you have to be the most disciplined. You have to be the most positive, the most authentic. You have to be the most service orientated and the most personally developed. When you are personally developing yourself and you're reading books and you're going to seminars and you're making an investment, your people will start doing that. And when they start doing that, they will get better. Then they'll understand your language. They'll understand how important it is, to always be on. So your job as a leader is to make sure that you exhibit, all of those traits, and you have to exhibit them to a much higher standard than anybody else that you think, is watching you. Remember, the speed of the leader determines the speed of the pack. Urgency and purpose. If you follow that mantra and you love that mantra, your people will follow that mantra and will love that mantra. So I talked about them, you're being watched, right? They're watching like silly things, like, where you park your car. Do you walk by trash that maybe was left on your sidewalk the night before? They're watching, how you dress. Are you casual? I had a joke about people all of a sudden letting it slip and thinking, oh, I don't see as many of my customers. And all of a sudden they start growing this Duck Dynasty beard. Or they're wearing, tattered blue jeans. Or, you just listen, if you want to be a professional and you want to, influence everyone you go, there's a uniform. You have to look professional. You don't have to be in a suit and tie, but you should be in a pair of slacks and a sports jacket. My sports jacket is hanging right on that wall right now, guys. Unless I'm not seeing any customers ever or any of our clients, I wear that. If I'm not, then I come here. If I'm just writing curriculum, head down, then I can be a little bit more casual. But when I'm out for display in front of my, brokers or team members or lenders, I have to at least have a sport jacket and a pair of slacks on. How you treat your underwriters, you'd be, surprised. I mean, how many favors get done just by loving your underwriters and going the extra mile for them. Silly things like whether or not you walk in and say good morning. I mean, a lot of people walk in and they get busy and their heads down and they're racing to their emails or telephone calls, and they have a small team, 3 or 4, and they find it difficult to even make small chat. Some of you do it really good. Some of you do it terribly. The other thing is, and this is something where I hope maybe we're going here and we'll figure this out, is, leaders are always working on themselves and they're always seeking out coaches. Mentors, people of influence. They don't even have to call them a mentor. A mentor could be an unofficial mentor where you look at somebody in the business that's done really great things, or they've mastered social media, or they've mastered underwriting, or they've mastered new business, and asking them out for lunch and being prepared and having a really, really good list of questions. And it's almost like that invisible mentor. They're mentoring you without you having to officially say, oh my God, would you be my mentor? Because sometimes asking that question, the person thinks, well, I'm too busy to be a mentor. I'm traveling, I'm doing this. And, and often people are worried about it a bit because most people that you mentor, won't do something great with it. They'll fall off. They'll do less than what you had hoped that they were going to do, for that return of that mentorship time. Also, as a leader of your office, guys, you're never learning. You're never not learning. I said it to you last week. If you don't know, discovery and you don't know my mortgage toolbox and you aren't walking around getting your rates off of your phone with our application, or you don't know Newton, or you haven't got around to it because you think you're too busy, shame on you. You're not too busy. You're actually doing a disservice to, your team. And listen, and I'm not, you guys know me well enough. God, I'm as blunt as they come, and I'm very appreciative of all of you. But, if you're on this call, you have to, be okay with me just doing what I do best. And that's, speaking it as it is. You're always should be looking to make tweaks in your business, right? Trying new things. You should always be looking to, cut anything that isn't vital to your business, isn't vital to new origination, isn't vital to sales. And I don't mean, stay in touch programs. We're going to talk about that shortly. That's vital. But, I mean, all the other, sort of add-on products that you really can't make any money on, or, are too, confusing to maybe sell. We can break out and speak about that in general. But my point is, if you have something that's not working, let's not beat a dead horse, move on. A leader is always getting better, right? We talked about, athletes and NFL teams reviewing game tapes. They practice every single day. They don't just say we're great and we fielded the best team. They practice, and we have to practice in our business. We have to know our competitors in our local market. We have to be obviously involved in our local market from a social standpoint. Somebody commented on one of my Facebook posts the other day, Instagram post, and they say, hey, listen, we got everyone engaged. Why don't we all, kick in and raise money for a charity? And you all know that, we have bikes for kids and we have bullying ends here, and I am someone, but all of you also have the own things that you do in your own marketplace. And honestly, what I said to him is I said, thank you for the initiative, take that $500 that you offered up to get started and use that in your local community, because in your local community, you're going to get much more awareness. People are going to appreciate your business, that you're actually making an investment in that community. It's local. So find something that's important to you that you can, tie it in with your business and be known for that. We had Tracy Volko and Angela Kella and, a few others on our panel down in Cancun. And they talked about being involved in the social community, doing things, for the community, and the impact that it had on their business. And in a couple of the examples, I mean, their business was going up 30-40% per year because of the feedback and the business they were getting just by being a community contributor, someone who cared in the business, and they were seeking them out. They were getting name recognition. So that's really important. I said it to start the session on, but I want to say it again. It's a constant reminder. Leaders know that their team needs those constant reminders. It's not always new information, right? It's just, and you can do things as a team. Take your, if there's a speaker or an event or something, or Brian Tracy or Seth Godin or Robin Sharma in your team. I mean, God, take your team, buy a group discount ticket and get away. And, as I said, the more you get your team investing in themselves, the better they become. What, leaders don't do is they don't get good at starting over. They don't make changes. They get good at getting better. And most people, when they feel pressure, they either fight or they flight. And when they fight and they argue over trivial stuff. They get away from the core message. They just want to be right. A recent speaker talked about lizard brain, about, having to be right. That is not productive in your business, right? Solve for the emotion, not for the problem. And, get good at getting better, right? Don't, separate, quit, change companies, leave your spouse. I'm not obviously, guys, going to get into, coaching on any of that personal stuff. I don't have the expertise in it, but the habits that follow leaders are pretty universal. Obviously, the most important thing in our life is to find a way to build raving fans. When you build raving fans, you get more people wanting to help you out. People, life gets easier. People make introductions for you. They open doors. They, introduce you to helpful people. They'll escalate transactions quicker. They go out of their way to, make your life better. And how do you make raving fans? Well, you do the little things, the unexpected things, the emotional connections, every time. And I'm going to talk about some of that. The easiest way to do that is social media. So I know most of you on this call, I look at the list, are on Facebook or Instagram. If you're not, please get on it. This is not complicated. You can do a Facebook or Instagram tutorial in about 4 or 5 minutes. It is click. It is easy, and everyone is on there this day. It is a way to monitor the feeds of all of your past customers, your referral sources, your friends, anyone in your circle of influence. Just doing something like commenting and not liking. Liking is okay. I'm going to like their post. It's way more impactful when you genuinely are spending 15 minutes a day and you're just, signing in and you're saying, oh my God, what a beautiful pic and what a wonderful family. And, oh, I remember when that picture was done. And, I'm so proud of how well you're doing. And congratulations on your daughter's, dance performance last week. You must be so proud. You are building raving fans. When you start reaching out, commenting on your stuff, they start reaching out, commenting on your stuff, on their stuff. They start commenting on your stuff. Then all of a sudden, they feel like they have more open dialogue. So when they do have a question around mortgage financing, they're going to message you privately or say, hey, can you give me a call? But it's the easiest way to build raving fans now, and it's incredibly simple. When you comment publicly and find something nice to say about them, as long as it's genuine, not only do they get to have something genuine from you and they go, oh my God, that person's such a nice person, and thank you very much, Gary. I really appreciate it. I couldn't have done it without you, or whatever they happen to say. It's double as powerful because you've got to say something nice in a public forum where everyone else gets to recognize the nice things that you said about them. So it is unbelievably powerful. It is so easy to do. It is free. And if you're not doing it and spending 15 minutes a day and you're not on Instagram, on Facebook at the very, very least, I would add LinkedIn to that as well, then you are missing an opportunity to build raving fans. Why do you want to build raving fans? Because they're easier to do business with. They negotiate, less. They're just more joyful. Okay, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute as well. A leader understands extreme ownership. When shit is hitting the fan, it's all your fault. When you're getting big wins and the team is rocking and rolling, it's, thanks to all of your team members. God, please get out of your own head and, want to be elevated. Give some of that love away. It will go so far for you. Leaders are constantly looking to elevate, people. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I want to just hit on it again. Walk around every day or pick up the phone or call an underwriter or a referral source or, somebody who you haven't maybe, touched basis with and find ways to recognize something great that they're doing. Don't be like a manager that walks around and finds ways to correct people, right? That is counterproductive. Find ways to find someone doing something right. Don't be a manager where you find ways to find something doing wrong. You're going to get to that, but you're going to get to that very softly when you've had so many deposits in the bank because you've said so many great things and you've really supported them. They're comfortable with bringing ideas in and they don't think they're going to get dismissed and not pay attention to them. Then, you can start saying, hey, listen, I noticed you did it this way. And, that's not bad. But if you did it this way, I think you'd be much more productive. This is how it's worked for us. It's those kind of conversations. I know some of you might think this is a little bit elementary, but it's not elementary. This is incredibly important, and this is why I remind you of it. Leaders solve problems promptly. They don't let it fester and escalate. They run towards it. They just go, whoa, they own it. They solve for the actual problem. They solve for the emotion that the problem has created, not the problem itself. It isn't ever about being right. So they run towards it rather than just maybe not answering the phone or hoping that in a few days it will go away. It doesn't go away. It might go away and you might not hear any more about it. But if you haven't solved that problem, you have somebody out there now who is a detractor, right? And they are actually repelling business and brokers and relationships away from you. So run towards that problem right away. Your most important thing, I don't care if it's your underwriter, I don't care if it's your director of marketing, I don't care if it's a broker, your job is to keep top players. If you have a top player that is leaving, fight. It is way better to make an investment in top players than it is to replace those top players. It is much, much less expensive. The other thing is that on your top underwriters that you have relationships with, your top mortgage brokers that are part of your team, you have to check in with them constantly. You might think it's overkill, but I tell you, it is not. They appreciate it. Hey, David. Hey, Derek. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Sue. Just want to check in. How are you? How was your weekend? What's going on? How's your month looking? Anything I can do for you? Usually on top performers, there's not a lot that you have to do. Usually they're as good as you or better in many cases. They're going to bring more volume. They're going to bring more incentives. They're going to bring, deeper relationships with lenders. They've been in the business of top performers because they are not killing you, with every extra minute of your time. That would be probably a newer broker. So you have to understand that you might make a little bit less on a top performer, but they're actually going to provide value to your business. And in order to keep those people, you have to pay attention to them. They have to feel significant and they have to feel special. The sales are the lifeblood of your business, helping mortgage agents get sales done. So if you do have new mortgage agents, and you're going to be part of our program going forward, set up a rainmaker desk. You just say to your new agents for the first year, just go out there, here's your elevator pitch, and just bring business in. We'll underwrite it for you because a new agent is not going to underwrite deals very well. They're going to blow so many deals. They're going to get so discouraged. They might not even make it. But if they still made 60% of that full broker commission, and all they did is learn how to be a good rainmaker and had a really good elevator pitch and could just, sing your praises about how your team will get their deal done, they're going to be way more successful. Then with time, you're going to be able to start, going over deals with them, introducing them to lenders, letting them start to do the deal front to back slowly but surely. And when you build your team, they're going to be much more successful. You also are making 40% of that transaction now, and that should be a split in order to actually give these people a fair shot, and they're going to be much, much more successful. If you're a leader and you don't know, as I said, your own business and your own internet and your own back end, and if you don't know how to use them, and if you're not going to the national sales conferences, you're not going to MPC, then, if there's a problem with your business or you haven't reached your maximum potential, the only person you can look at is yourself, right? That isn't a trait of someone who's going to be one of our best in Canada. Okay. So what I want you to do right now, before I go on to the next section, is I want you to stop and I want you to write down the 3 best takeaways in the last 30 minutes. All that, all those components on leadership. I want you just to quickly write down your 3 best takeaways right now. I'm going to give you 15 seconds here. I don't want you to just hang up, listen. You got some notes. I want you to take your best 3 ideas right now and circle them. Put them on the corner of the page. And these can be your execution points. If something I said resonated with you, if something I said you're not doing, if something I said you used to do, but you kind of fell off, that happens. We all drift. Put those 3 points down. And that's where you're going to start. Obviously, building a top performance team talks about building a team. Some of you have big teams on this call. Some of you have small teams. Some of you have underwriting centers and don't want a team. So, this part about recruiting agents is going to be very important to some of you and less important to all of you. Sooner or later, even for those of you that maybe this doesn't resonate with today, it will, because as you build your company and you want to do more and you want different divisions, it will eventually resonate with you. So I'm going to go through that again. Recruiting any agent that you want. Okay, so number 1, I really believe in putting brand new agents to the business. We are doing a brand new program headed up by Doreen Walsh. We are working with Remick and licensed agents that are coming through the system. The problem why most owners don't take new agents on is because they haven't made the time to put a proper underwriting program in place to train these new agents and a proper sales foundation, to train new agents. So a new agent comes in, all of a sudden, they go out there, they try to bring business in, they get so frustrated because they can't get, the first 10 deals done. They realize how difficult it is. They call you as an owner at the most inopportune times, just when you're busy with your own deals, when you're leaving for the day, they're texting you on a Friday night, they finally get a deal. It's urgent. Oh my God, this has to happen now, and then if you don't respond quick enough, they're mad at you. That's why most of you don't deal with new agents. What I want to tell you, though, is brand new agents will give you the best return. Number 1, you're going to bring them on for that first year under that Rainmaker program on a 60-40 split. You're going to work with us and Doreen and our modules going forward so that we can actually give them what they do the first week, the first month, the first quarter, the first year. You're going to meet with them with once a week in order to make sure that they're accountable, because they have no accountability. They, again, will forget, they'll do less, they'll drift, and they won't make it. But, you know, they come in, they're hungry, they've just gone through the education, they're not going to come with any bad habits. When it comes to negotiating compensation with them, you're not giving away the farm, you get to make a little bit more money off them, and you build a culture around your team. Every one of us started as a brand new agent. Please don't ever forget that. You know, it's like somebody saying to me, I don't work with realtors anymore. Okay, I get it. And if you have a huge mortgage business and you've done an unbelievable job staying in touch with your past customers and your referral sources, and you've gotten to that point where your business is growing year after year after year, and you don't want to work with realtors, I absolutely respect that. You've earned that, and I'm a big supporter of that. But if you're not doing that, if your team isn't growing every single year, if you're flat, if you want more, then saying that I don't work with new agents or I don't work with realtors is probably silly. And you want to have a call off, you know, line on that. I will obviously, you know, share more of my feelings around that. But I don't know of another better source of new business coming in with realtors. And you don't need to work with a lot of them, 4, 5, 6 of them. You need to become, you know, raving fans of theirs and have them become raving fans of yours. But let me get back to recruiting any new agent. So 2 areas. You're going to, you know, be open to recruiting brand new agents. You're going to speak to myself and Doreen. You're going to get part of our new agent training program so that you actually have the foundation to hire new agents. Everywhere you go, you find a really nice, you know, communicative, just a really warm personality that's serving you lunch today. You go to the Brick and you buy new furniture, and you like the salesperson. You know, wherever you meet one of your, you know, children's friends and they're mid-20s and they're not sure what they're going to be doing for their life, you talk to them, you tell them about our industry, you tell them what our average income is, you tell them what our top performers make, you give them your story, you give them your card, and before long, they're going to be in the course. If you're in Ontario, like many of you are in this call, I can get those mortgage brokers licensed in 7 days. If you're in BC or Alberta, one of the other provinces, it's a little bit longer, but you know, we've got this down to a science. We're getting fairly good at it. So how do you recruit anybody? And I'm not talking the new agents now, I'm talking other agents in your area. Well, the first thing you do is you identify a target and you make a list. So don't make a big list because it's too much to stay in touch. Make a list of 10 or 15 agents that are working with your competitors, agents that you've met before in passing at an event, you know, at an insurance event, at a lender event, someone who you've worked with, maybe you're at the bank with them, put them on your list. Then you're going to decide the frequency of what you're going to communicate with them. You're not going to call anyone the first time and say, hey, come join my team. They're going to say, yes, I'll be right over. That doesn't happen, right? There is work, but it is a relentless pursuit of steady Eddie communication over time. Some will come faster, some will come slower, but they will all come if you are consistent and you do this. So you identify your target list, you make that list, you decide that I'm going to communicate with these people a minimum 4 times a year, and then you decide how you're going to communicate with them. Well, I'm going to put them on my newsletter, number 1, so they get that every single month. 12 times a year without me pushing a button, I'm going to put them into autopilot. And then I decide I'm going to call them every, 6 months. And hey, Steve, I'm just checking in. It's Croft over here in Calgary. You've been on the market for a long time. I've only heard good things about you. We're doing great things at Dominion Lending Centers over. I'd love to sit down, and have coffee. He's going to say, well, thank you, Croft, but I'm happy where I'm at right now. You're going to say, okay, great. And you know what? Just keep us in mind. If I can ever do anything for you, I meant what I said. And then you're going to add them to your list. And then, you're going to send them a small gift every quarter. It just could be, it could be $10, Starbucks card and a $20 movie pass. And you could say, hey, Steve, it's Croft again. I was thinking about you. I know, the market's been difficult. I don't know if you're like me, but it's been a real grind. That's why I'm really excited with what we're doing. Still like to show you what we're doing. But hey, listen, I was thinking about you, and I know how busy it can be. Hoping you can maybe take your wife out to a movie on behalf of me, this weekend. That's it. Not ask for business. Thank you. A quarter. Next quarter, it's on your rhythm chart. You're going to do it 4 times a year. You're going to send them a book. You're going to write a note inside. Hey, Steve, it's Croft. Read this book. Was really helpful in my business. Hope you enjoy it. That's it. By the time he's getting 3 or 4 of these small little gifts, he goes, oh my God, that Croft is a nice guy. I got to call him. You know what? I haven't even called him. He sent me these 2 gifts. I haven't responded to him right now. He left me a voicemail. I didn't get back to him. But when you do nice things over and over and over, it's just human nature to eventually say, okay, God, I feel awkward now. I have to reach out. And you're starting to build that relationship. And then when he does reach out, you say, hey, maybe, Steve, we can have lunch. And Steve goes, yeah, let's do that. And then when you go have lunch, you know, you've gone to his website, you've looked at his advertising, you've asked around, you realize what he maybe doesn't have or where the opportunity is, or maybe where there's a gap in his business. You go share it with him. You're showing interest that you've actually, you know, done a little bit of homework on his business. Everything is available online right now. So you sort of secret shop their business, and then you go and have lunch with them. He all of a sudden decides that he likes you again. He still might not come right away. You continue, you know, with him on the rhythm chart every quarter. And then eventually something happens and he calls you out of the blue and goes, Croft, got a minute? Yeah. Can we chat? Yeah. Hey, I'm thinking for the first time in 4 or 5 years, I might be ready for a move. And your response is great. Love to sit down with you. I believe great people always eventually find each other. Thanks for reaching out. How soon can I meet you? And that's really, it is that simple, right? So again, there's 6 steps, right? Identify your target list, decide frequency, send a creative gift, a video, an SMS text, you know, an email, snail mail. 4th step is follow up with a phone call to arrange lunch. 5th step is secret shop their business so that you actually know something about it when you meet with them. And a 6th step is to have that lunch. Your 7th step is to follow up. So 7 steps, actually. Remember what I said earlier? If you've done a good job, these people who are on your top 10 or your top 15 are also on your list, your social media list. So you're monitoring their feeds. And at nighttime or first thing in the morning when you're spending that 15 minutes, all the way along, you would have commented, oh my God, what a beautiful family. Oh, congratulations on your son's, you know, winning the, you know, the soccer, you know, cup last weekend. You're doing things with other brokers that are at other companies that their own company isn't even doing. And I can speak from experience here, guys. As I told you last time, the first 500 agents in the history of Dominion Lending Centers, I personally recruited, maybe even the first 700 or 800, a lot anyway. And we still attract more than anybody else in the Canadian mortgage space. We're still growing faster than anybody else in the Canadian mortgage space. And these principles that I'm sharing with you are the principles that we use. So I want you to stop. I want you to write down those 7 points right now. I don't want you to, you know, only get half of them. I'm going to read them one more time. Write them down. Number 1, identify your target. Make your list. Number 2, decide frequency, a minimum 4 times a year. More frequency, as long as it's not always sell is better. When you're sending a book and saying, hey, I read this. It was an awesome book. It helped me in my business. That is powerful. You're not asking for anything. Send creative communication, small gifts, maybe do a video, maybe text them. Remember, guys, we can't only communicate with email today because only 40%, when you know the recipient, only 40% are being opened these days. So it's almost getting passé. So you have to find another way to communicate in addition to email. Number 4 is follow up with a phone call to arrange that lunch. Number 5, make sure you're prepared and secret shop them so you know a bit about their business so you can, you know, show them you're interested. And then number 6 is actually have that lunch. Number 7 is follow up. Okay. Hopefully you took your points down so that you have, I'm giving you a lot of stuff here again. I'm giving it to you. Some of you, you know, maybe a more in-depth explanation this week so that you really, you know, take it away and can use it. I talked about sharing you can see this, it hangs on the wall behind my desk here. And it's called Gary's Golden Rules. And I have 25 of them. I'm going to share 12 or 14 with you. Some will relate, will be relatable for you. Some maybe won't. But the key is I have golden rules. I have my expectations. I've had them for years. My leaders have these as well. They know our expectations. So let me go through these with you. Number 1, manage staff effectively. If you are not holding your staff accountable, their productivity is waning. People only improve with being measured. And it's amazing if you are bringing new staff on, and here's a tip for you. if you're hiring a new staff member, I'm going to give you 2 tips that I think are pivotal. Number 1, have multiple interviews with any new staff member, including new brokers, right? Like, get to know them, ask questions about them and their family and their spouse and where they came from and their background. If you like them, you think they're a good fit. If you have somebody else working with you, another assistant, an underwriter, someone who helps you with admin, ask them, say, listen, I'd like you to come in and sit down and just do a 15 or 20-minute interview with our admin. And the reason why you do that is if your admin sits down with them and they're already a raving fan and working hard, and they will because they're still there, obviously, when they come back to you and they say, yeah, I like this person, she was good, you're right, she's going to be excellent, then they've endorsed that person. They're going to actually help that person succeed. When that person is faltering or is struggling or is doing things that, don't align with your culture, they're going to pull them aside and they're going to say, hey, listen, I just want to give you an FYI, I'm on your side, but be mindful of this, be mindful of that, because they have to make that person work because they helped you choose that person. At the end of the day, you're the boss, you make that decision, but get your people involved, let them help you make the decision so they are invested in that decision. They would do everything to make sure that that new hire works. Number 2, second piece of advice, when hiring any new staff member, especially an administrative staff member, an underwriter, listen, the biggest mistake that I see in hiring staff is people hire them and they bring them in and they make sure they're welcome that first day and they take them out for lunch and they say, I'm going to sort of like bring you in slowly. I'll give you a little bit more every single day. First day, you've had a lot today, you've absorbed a lot, maybe go home early. And they just try to make it really easy and try to make the experience really good. Don't fucking do that, right? Excuse that language, guys. What you have to do with those new staff members is you make sure that first day, that first week, that first month, that first 60 days is terror. You make sure that they are booked from morning till noon. You need to be organized where you have them, like a list of duties over and over and over to do through them. They need to come to work. And they need to know, oh my God, from day one, this is a busy office. Wow, these guys run at a high speed. Holy smokes. Because what's going to happen is 2 months down the road when it does slow down and they have made it and you want to keep them, when it's not so busy, they're going to appreciate the small windows they get when it's slowed down. They're going to go, oh my God, I got a bit of a break, right? But they're going to already know and be indoctrinated into the high pace that you run. If someone can't take a high pace, let's figure it out the first week you hire them. If they got excuses and they got to leave early and they can't be there, I want to know early. I don't want to get them in slowly. I want to work them to the bone because I want them to know this is the pace of expectations that we have as a leader in my company. And you will see very quickly whether or not they rise to the top. And most will. They will rise to the level that your team rises to and that you as the leader are running at, as I've said 5 times. So don't make that mistake. I see it all the time. Oh, come on. Yeah, take your time. Yeah, we'll get you started with this and then we'll give this to you. Get it ready, make a list and bury them, right, for that first 60 days. Let them sink or swim. Now be there and support. They're not going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to invest in this person and answer them. But if you do that and you get them out of the gate fast, they're gonna love the energy that you operate in. They're gonna love the team environment. They're gonna love the communication. They're gonna love the pace. And you know what? They're not gonna resent you when they have to work hard down the road because the first 60 days were a dream and you didn't make them work hard. And all of a sudden, they're not going to be saying to you, well, I wish I knew it was going to be, this level of pace. I wouldn't have still been here. Find out soon. Anyway, 2 takeaways. Write those down. I think they'll be helpful. A lot of you have met our team at DLC in particular. Our team, they are rock stars. These guys, I mean, God, I can come here any night of the week at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock and I have people working. I don't think my assistant has ever left a day early before me, right? She just knows the pace we run it. And I encouraged her, hey, because she's got so many deposits in the bank, I'm terrible. Go, please go away for the weekend. Do me a favor. Take your mom and dad out for dinner this weekend. Go bring me the bill on Monday. Like, she's so great at what she does. And, because of that, I try to push her and give her, extra time and freedom. But she's used to running at such a high level pace. It's in her nature now. She loves it. She's a giant part of our operation. So manage that effectively. If you're not looking, to find right things to do and to reward staff for good behavior, then you're probably being counterproductive and you're looking for ways to, correct them. Don't do that. Accountability is going to be waning if you are not watching it. So again, keep staff accountable, start them at a very fast speed. Manage every expense in your business, big or small, with a laser focus. You might think that a small incremental, office supply that your staff members are ordering over and over and over isn't a big deal. When you times it by every month times 12, it is. Every dollar counts. Life is easier. It is so easy. If you get good at saying no, you are going to have more money. You're going to have more free cash. You're going to have a lower bar that you have to get over. Your operational costs are going to be, much more stable. So in our company, my presidents have this in their binder: manage every expense, big or small, with laser focus. Always look for ways to reduce expenses and costs. Always. As a leader, every dollar counts. I don't care if it's $5, it matters. Be analytical and constantly review your financials every month. It's critical to be an effective CEO. And I'm going to talk about that if we have enough time today, the financial component of your business. But you need to know every single month your expenses, how much broker commission you have coming in, what your expenses, and you need to look at that statement of expense every single month. You need to manage that. You heard me say it before. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. It's a bad decision, right? A lot of us as business owners, are really good at doing mortgages and are really good at getting deals done. We have to get a little bit better at actually running our business. We're going to work on that with all of you so that we can help point out bleeds and areas where, there's oversights or where you're not being as cognizant as what we think you should be. Being analytical, constantly reviewing your financials every month is critical to be an effective CEO. I'm sorry, I just said that. Simply put, leadership is analysis. I'm okay with leverage. As long as cash flows are strong and predictable. Leverage to buy new companies, to buy a competitor, leverage on your building. We're going to speak about that in a minute. I'll just jump there actually right now. You, on every opportunity, if you can buy your building, buy your building. I've never, ever seen a bad decision, especially if you're going to be there long term. It is forced savings mechanism. It says to the market that you're here to stay. It says to your agents that you're here to stay. It doesn't have to be a big fancy building, guys. It can be 1,000 square feet with a front door and 3 or 4 offices and a bullpen. But buy your building if there's one piece of advice on running a profitable business: when you can get there, get there. If your lease expires in 3 years, start planning now. Always look for ways to reduce layers of corporate bureaucracy. Like, I hate levels of bureaucracy. Oh my God, you have to go to this and escalate to this, and I don't deal with that. As CEO, you deal with everything. Nobody in your business, in my opinion, from your receptionist to your underwriter to your broker, should have any more value. Good ideas come from people who give good ideas. You want to take all out that elevation, that overlay of corporate bureaucracy, and you want to get rid of it. You want it as flat as possible. Exit all parts of your business that are either cash drains or taking up headspace. If they're not giving you a return and you're worrying about them, you're trying to figure them out, they're cash drains, get rid of them, close it down, focus on doing mortgages, period. That'll give you the highest return. There's 3 levels, guys, of ownership in business, okay? And I'm going to talk you through it. First level is a technician. You read about it in Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth. If you haven't read The E-Myth, go to Amazon right now, get it sent to you. There's been the E-Myth Revisited. There's 2 or 3 different iterations of it now. But they talk about the technician. If you're a broker or even a leader, like most of you are, where you're still doing teams, the first part of a business owner, the first step is a technician. That's where your head is down and you're writing mortgages. The second level, and most of you are leaders on this call, where you're a leader, you're still doing mortgages. Maybe you're not, but you have some staff members, underwriting, some customer service, some doc specialists, and you're a leader. And, you're not involved in every single deal, but you're still, involved, and you're directing the business. And then there's the owner. The owner owns the business. So they still make the ultimate decision, but the leader runs the company. The owner is that guy. So I would be the owner. I would be the guy that none of my companies rely on me for anything. I get to do fun stuff like this now going forward because I know this is where I can have the most meaningful impact. I'm not worried about, making payroll or payables or accounting. I do what I have to do. I review my statements monthly. I work on much more strategic. It's a really fun place to be. We all want to get there. We want to be the owner. We've hired a leader. He runs the business. It doesn't mean I don't go to work. It doesn't mean I don't walk into my office every day. I don't say hello. I don't, smile and laugh and kibitz with our staff. I don't, look for ways to find out, and recognize something good that they're doing. I don't show up at events. I still do all of that because I'm the owner, and that's just good. And being good to people, has always proven and provided a great return. So you still have to do that, but that's where I want you to get to. I want you to start at technician, move to the leader, then move to the owner. That's our plan for you. So some of these 25 rules are just giving you sort of my underlying, beliefs and things that have been important enough for me to actually write them down and carry them around for years and years. I continue to add and tweak to. So exit all business units that are cash drains or headspace drains. Look for acquisitions. If there's opportunity to buy a competitor in your market, guys, listen, if you're part of our company and you're under contract, you can go buy any one of your competitors. And if they want to join you because you have economies of scale or you have more access to lenders or you're just a really cool owner with something going on and you have the vibe and your market share is increasing, you want to go bring brokers over and you need to write a check so that they can take a little money off the table and feel like they're valuable, because that might be just enough to push them over. I'll fund it for you. You tell me the team you want to buy, you phone me up and I'll write the check for you as long as they join your team and they're part of, our team and, they execute one of our agreements. I'll help you build your team. So when considering an acquisition, focus on underlying trends in the market. What you're looking for is how healthy is the market? Is your revenue predictable? What kind of flight risk do you have? Is there still growth potential in the business that you're buying? Who is your immediate competition to that particular model that you're looking at? You're looking at all the ways that you can bring operational improvements to the business where there's actually synergies in the actual business. And you're looking at the cash flow generation, right? Like what areas of the business are going to generate cash flows once you synergize them. I'm happy to have these conversations offline with you. This is the way I think when I look at every single team all the time. So this is straight off of my 25 Gary's golden rules. This is a big one. As a leader, avoid casual lunches. They're useless. If you're going to go out for lunch, you got to eat. But if you're going to do it, make sure you're going out with a BDM, a lender, an underwriter, a broker of yours, a top performing broker, one of your team staff member that needs some love. You should get together with them on a regular basis outside of the office. Please just don't go with your bud and have lunch and get away. And it's just such a waste of time. If you're going to go to work every single day, make it worthwhile. Make your lunches valuable. It's like being in your car and you're driving, listening to an audio tape or a podcast. Make it valuable. Become better. You want more, be more. It's really that simple. I'm not yelling at you guys easy. I can hear my voice getting a little hoarse. So if I sound like I'm yelling at you, 2 thumbs up. This is important too. I tell all of our presidents, guys, and sometimes it takes, it's slower for people to adopt this. And they do it once and they realize this. But for the most part, avoid volunteering for associations, high-profile philanthropic boards, and say no to opportunities that only feed your ego. So many of these are time wasters. The exception is maybe if you're invited to be on a business corporate board. These can be incredibly valuable as you get to learn how other businesses operate and you get to see their models. And often you'll meet smart people that, can maybe bring new opportunities. When I'm saying avoid volunteering for associations, the problem is when someone, says, hey, I'm going to, nominate myself to be on a board, what they don't realize is that those boards are usually 2 or 3 year terms and they're usually meeting monthly or at the very least quarterly, and you have to prepare for them. So there's a preparation for a day or 2 in advance. And then, if it's an association, you got to get on an airplane, you got to go there and be there. And I always just say, if you have someone great in your business and they want to do it, you as the leader, nominate them, get your people engaged, let them do that. You need to be the leader. Your time and your focus is on building the business and being a great partner to lenders and building deeper relationships and building the team and becoming more profitable. God, I can't tell you how many boards and associations, and this is firsthand experience that I was on. I was everywhere for a lot of years. And, and listen, I love giving back. I've founded, numerous charities as most of you know on here, but I got, chairs and boards running them all now. I'm just a pop-in guy. and I still write checks, and if I have to use my influence to, raise money or introduce something, I'm happy to do that. But God, the amount of people that are joining local, boards and local events and don't realize the actual time waster, like, God, use that time investing on your business, or use that time and put it into your family. Because I know a lot of us are supposed to say to us, hey, listen, you need more family time at home. It's a struggle for every entrepreneur. Okay, so anyway, that can be argued. A lot of you can go back. I know a lot of you on the call have been on a board at one time or another. So I will. The book, sorry, Amber. The book was The E-Myth, written by Michael Gerber. All right. Listen, I want you to always be on. I want your mind always working. Every conversation, every goal, every soccer field, everywhere you are, always be. I say to my presidents, be fox-like, right? Be a fox-like, like a sponge, right? And always be open and be thinking about new opportunities. You never know when you're going to see one that's going to be ripe with value and opportunity. You as a leader, as you start getting more successful, it's people are coming out of the woodwork. They always have an idea. They always want your time. They're always pitching you on something. So you got to be very careful at saying, no, you got to manage your time. But I want you to be open, and I want you to give 5 or 8 or 10 minutes to an idea that comes across and very quickly assess it. And if it does, sound something that's interesting, then certainly you can make more time, right? You never know where opportunity is going to come from. And as I said, the best ideas don't necessarily come from your smartest people. It's often people who are the worker bees, who are just working hard every day in your business, and they often bring the very best ideas. So I want you to be a sponge, and I want you to be open to new opportunities. I just don't want you to spend all of your time chasing them, right? Like, be very narrow in your focus and develop really good points quickly and questions to ask. This is a big one for me. Carve out time to solve problems. If an area in your business is struggling, if you're having a cash drain, if you figure you're tapped via resources or undermanaged, if your business feels a little bit clunky or it's not running properly, or there's breakdowns in the customer experience where people aren't getting responded to quick enough, or you're hearing feedback on the experience wasn't good, grab your team member, turn the phones off, meet an hour before business, 1 or 2 days a week, and make time to think and to debate and solve these problems. We often just put up with them because they require a lot of thought, and we're so busy in life we don't make the time. So actually book an hour 1 day or 2 days, or do it on a Saturday morning or something, and say, here are my problems. And I bet if you look at them, a lot of times you're going to realize that you've been putting up with these problems in some cases for months or years. And it's just because you haven't made time to get a small team together and say, okay, this has been a problem. It's felt funky for a long time. I haven't got around to fixing it. I brought you in here because I value your opinion. I want to debate the problem with you, and then I want to come up with ideas on how we think that we can take away that friction point. So it's something that I often will go down to the library and just sit by myself and think and make notes to solve problems. Chris and I spend a lot of time together, and we often are just talking about problems and friction points and areas that we have to improve on, and then we bring it back to our team member and we share it with them, and then we remind them. 3 fundamental focuses in your business, guys. These are really, 3 very, very key fundamentals. Please write these down. Number 1 is growing your agent count, right? More agents, more money, more revenue, more opportunity to hire good staff, easier to retain, more people doing, all the niggly work so that you can be the rainmaker, you can be the leader, right? So you need to grow volumes, right? So you want to grow your agents, you want to grow your volume. It has to be one of your vital functions. You want to retain your top talent at all costs, right? You got someone who's a kick-ass underwriter, you're not paying her enough, you think she might get there. A lot of times it's not even you're paying her enough, because money is only one part of it, and it's actually a small part of it. You got to be competitive. But if you're not loving your top underwriter or your doc specialist or your assistant, and they don't really like you, and they don't know your spouse, and you don't know their spouse, and you don't know them socially, and they don't come to you, and you don't have that relationship, you're in big trouble. Sooner or later, a guy like me is going to steal them, and I'm going to love them to daylights. And they're never coming back to you, right? So you really have to make sure, get them close, right? It is just so unbelievably important. your job is to keep your top talent, man. Investing in that top talent, is way more expensive, is way, way less expensive than starting over and having to hire somebody again. Now, if they're not doing good and you've talked to them and they're not engaged and they won't show up and they won't stay late, they won't go the extra mile, and they don't buy into your vision, punt them. Get their ass out of there. When is the best time to fire somebody? The first time you think about it. Replace them. There's good people out there. But, you have to make the investment. People who are coming to you often won't show up as A players. They might show up as B or C, and that's okay for them because that's all that was ever asked for them. You, as the coach or the teacher, have to make them the A player, and you have to make sure they understand your expectations. Look for ways, and I said this again, it's on my list again, sorry, I'm going to repeat it, but it's on my own list. Constantly look for ways to find staff doing something right and recognize it. Don't walk around thinking you're a manager and try to find ways to be critical or make corrections or adjustments to the way somebody's doing business. Find the good things they're doing first. Tell them. They're going to love you for it. Oh my God, you're going to empower them. The rest of the corrections can come later. Last thing that I can share with you on my list here is negotiate everything. Ask every lender, every supplier for more. Ask them, hey, if our office does X amount of mortgages with you next year, because this year we did, is there an extra 5 basis points in it for us? Could you put that towards a trip for my office? Could you take us out for a team dinner? Do you think that if we did more business, you could give us free appraisals? Like ask. You never know what you get. I mean, now listen, if you have done what I've taught you guys and you have been a good leader and you have been reaching out to your underwriters and your BDMs and these guys that run these lenders that you work with, and you've been saying nice things on social media and commenting, and you've been sending your underwriters books and thank you cards and Starbucks cards, and you're thanking them for working late and doing what almost every other mortgage broker doesn't do well, loving, wowing your people that are critical to your business, then when you go to ask for something or say, hey, would you, pay for all of my brokers to go to the National Sales Conference if I give you 10 extra deals this year? You will be blown away how many will say yes. Ask. You don't get what you don't ask for. The old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, guys. Honestly, you have to ask, and it will surprise you how well you'll do. Guys, are you still hearing me? Just give me a quick, I just had a little click here. Yeah, got it. Great. Okay, perfect. I'm going to give you one other piece that is on my top 25. And it's, it's probably the most valuable thing I'm going to give you. And it's probably the easiest. And it's probably the most overlooked. And, it matters no matter how big your company is. It matters with your brokers, with your team members, with your spouses. It matters with your lenders, with your BDMs. I got some magic that just because I care, I've gotten very good at over the years, and it's very important to me. I try to be the best in the business when it comes to remembering names. And a lot of our brokers and our broker spouses and that I see once a year or twice a year, once every second year. But I meet someone for the first time and I dip out to the washroom and I go to my notes section on my phone and I go, Denise or Billy, and where they're from and where I met them. And if they tell me something about their children, I write it down. And then when I know I'm going to see them again, I refresh myself. And I did that a lot in the early days. Now I've just gotten so good at remembering names. But I can't tell you how many times people have said, we just had a guy stand up at our national sales conference. And I've heard it. I can't tell. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times over the years, people have just said, Gary, you know what? What really resonated with me is I came from Referral and I met the leaders there 2 or 3 times. And every 2 or 3 times, it was like I was meeting a brand new for the very first time. What do I got? I got a note from Phil Weir here to all panelists. Yes, you are the best. First day you and I met, you knew my name and you didn't even know me or what I looked like. That's Phil Weir, who's on this call. Thanks, Phil. And the person who sent it to me at this conference was Joel Olson, who had been at Referral for years and came over to DLC. And he just said, I went to this, I was with Referral for years and I went to event after event after event after event and they never knew my name. And the very first time, I wasn't even sure Gary's name. He knew my name and came up and said, hey, Joel. And I just can't reiterate how important that is. It's hard. It takes some work. But I promise you, you start doing that, you get better at that. People are just so impressed that you care. And it's hard. It's not easy remembering names, but my goodness, is it powerful. And it just, when they start to feel like you know them, they come to you and they help you grow your business, and they point out, opportunities for you, and maybe where there's, they're hearing something where they can help you, solve something before, it becomes an issue. They like you, so they're out there in the public and they're defending you. And, it's like you have this huge, army of raving fans that are supporting you, because as you get bigger and stronger and better in your market, and I don't care if you're in a small little community or you're in downtown Toronto, as you continue to get better, people are going to take more runs at you. They're going to call you out. They're going to spread rumor and innuendo to you. They don't know. People are going to say shit about you, and then you're going to actually hear about it. And you're going to call them up and you're going to say, hey, I don't think we've ever met, have we? And they're going to say, no, actually we haven't. We're going to be nice as pie. And you're going to say to them, well, listen, I've heard you said this about me, and all I've ever heard about you is great things. So I thought, I'm sure it must be a mistake, because I don't even recall you and I even ever meeting. And I'd like to meet with you next time I'm in town. I do that all the time. There was a time and point where I was just being like gunned down by every competitor, and it was violent and it was vile and it was nasty. And this guy's a hot-winded car salesman and he won't last. And when they didn't know me, when I heard about it and they didn't know me, I phoned them all up nicely and I said, hey, John, it's Gary Morris, DLC. How are you? Good, thank you. John, I don't think we've ever met, have we? No, not officially, Gary. No. I said, I didn't think so. Listen, I all I've heard is great things about you. You've been in the business a long time. It's guys like you who make our business better. And this might just be rumor, John, so I'm not pointing any fingers. But, I heard that, you had mentioned this about me in a comment or something, and I think it was really unlikely because I don't think we've met. And he goes, no, Gary. Well, maybe I said part of that, Gary, and I didn't say it that way, but I said it this way, but I probably shouldn't have. And I handle this way all the time. I go, John, don't worry about it. God, we're competitors. You know what I mean? You're in the same market. I'm sure we crossed paths, or, but I just wanted to make sure, because I thought maybe I screwed up. Maybe I had met you and I had dismissed you, or I was a loop. My apologies. All of a sudden, John hangs up and he goes, wow, my God, I like that guy. He's a nice guy, right? I didn't know. And he turns around and all of a sudden starts defending you. And then I make a point to go meet John, right? I have a new hire, a very, very senior hire, a new woman that we've recently hired. And the situation was exactly that. She was saying something 1 year ago about me. And I called her up and I said, we've never met. She said, no, we've never met. Same thing as I just told you. And I said, interesting. I heard something, but it can't be right. I said, I'm going to be at the conference next week. Could you and I get together and have coffee? And she goes, yeah. She loved her job. Everything was great. She was kicking ass. Guess what? She works for us now. 1 year later. It took 1 year to change her from a detractor that was gunslinging, calling DLC out, calling me out publicly, to being a big fan, right? To working for us now and being happier than ever before. So these are, I'm getting into the micro details, but I want you to know that the micro details matter. They matter, man. It's the little things that most people don't think about and don't do that make the difference. Okay, so Gary's top 25. How much time do we have? 12:28. Okay, I'm going to try to get through Director of Client Care, working with repeat and referral customers. I'm going to give you some of my strategies. Take lots of notes, guys. So I asked you all to fill out surveys in order to participate in this program here, and you all did. You weren't on this call unless you filled that survey out. I don't want to spend my time with anyone who is not going to make the investment and do the work. It is not easy. It is hard, but it is what separates everyone else. You guys all told me that, at the minimum, 60%, the very lowest, 60% of your business, for you agents that have been in the business for an extended period of time or been in the business for any, length of time, and you all have actually because you're on this call, that a minimum 60% of your business comes from past customers or repeat referrals, right? So referrals that are sending you customers over and over and over are past customers. Most of you are 75 or 80%. So you said, I've been in the business long enough. Yeah. A lot of you had different answers on how you stay in touch. None of you were doing a really great job staying in touch. Some were better than others. But I want to just go over quickly, and I want to tell you, and I want to remind you why this is going to be the most high-performing strategy that you're going to have going forward that you can take away. So when it comes to your business, why do we want to deal with repeat customers and referral customers? It's already 85% of our business, 80, 85, 75, 80, depending on who you were, but it's very high, 100 to lots of you. A repeat customer, guess what? They buy quicker. They decide faster. They negotiate less. They refer you more often, provided you've met baseline expectations. They're easier to work with. They're more patient. They don't argue what you want in documentation as much. They stay longer. They refer more. They're more enjoyable to work with. They cost zero or very little to acquire. And overall, they're just more awesome. Who doesn't want to work with a customer that buys quicker, negotiates less, has more patience, is more enjoyable, costs little to acquire, and is awesome? You heard me talk about PITAs, right? You've been in the business long enough. You know, I don't believe in working with PITAs. Yeah, PITA is a pain in the ass. Life is too short. If you're a pain in the ass, beat it, right? I'm not. If you are arguing on every documentation, now listen, the best revenge is a sale. Your job is to get the deal done. But if you're getting pushed back and disloyal and they're aloof and hard to get a hold of and they're grinding you at every turn, punt them. Bye-bye, you know, and spend more time on repeat and referrals. A recent study that I read said that it is 5 to 25 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to retain an existing client. And that 5 to 25 is dependent on the industry, but even on the low level, 5 times more expensive to acquire a new customer. And that's in dollars, that's in follow-up time, that's in staff, you know, so it just shows you how important that is. You know, it's funny because I talk to a lot of you and I say, where's your new business coming from? And people say, well, I'm doing this and I'm spending this and I'm doing bus benches and I'm doing, you know, mail outs and I'm speaking at this event and I'm holding first-time home buyer seminars and all of that may be good. I'd have to speak to you one-on-one and you know, and look at your business and exactly what you're doing. But if 75 or 80% of your business is coming from past clients and referrals, right? Why don't you take that money that you would normally spend on marketing for new business or advertising or any PR that you're doing and invest it in your customer service? When you spend that money and invest it in your customer service with the customers you've already done business with and your top referral sources, guess what? Your customers will do more marketing for you than you could ever afford to do on your own. Your business will jump 30 to 40% in year one. And that's just doing a better job staying in touch with your past customers, making them raving fans. Is it hard? Sure, there's some detail to it. But one of the things that I'd like all of you to do, and a lot of you say, oh, I have underwriters and I have doc collectors and I have this and I have that. And I would like you to get to a point where you can hire one person. And inside of her office, her title is going to be Director of WOW. Her business card, and her title to everyone else, is going to be Director of Client Care. Her only job is to wow your referral sources and your past customers. Now remember, all that time, those nights away from your family, chasing new businesses, going to hockey games, you know, blah, blah, blah. Some of it you're going to continue to do, guys. I'm not going to talk to you about your business specific, but you're going to spend any extra time and money and putting that back to your customers that already know, like, and trust you. Huffington Post recently had an article and it said 67% of customers cite either a bad or indifferent experience, right? Or a lack of company outreach as a reason for their business to churn. 67% just said, hey, I never heard from this customer again. Of course, I'm never going back, and they churned. Or they just said, yeah, my experience was okay. It was transactional. It was, I got the mortgage done. Yeah, it was good, right? You might send them you know, at the end of the mortgage term, hey, your mortgage is renewing, or you might send them a 1-year anniversary date, or you might send them a Christmas card. Guess what? Christmas cards are useless. And the reason why they're useless is everyone sends them. They have no meaningful impact. They have no emotional connection. I'm not saying don't do it, but if you're thinking that that's going to be something that they're going to say, oh my God, I love you for it, unless you're handwriting a Christmas card and you're saying something personal about their family and their kids and your relationship and the impact they had on you, unless you're actually using words that work, A Christmas card that says, hey, top of the season, Merry Christmas is useless. Save your money. Find something, find an emotional connection that you're going to do, and you're going to do regularly with these top referrals and these past customers. Do you know how many of you have said, oh yeah, well, I haven't done anything over the years, or I've done something, or I send out an email now, or I use autopilot and that's it? Congratulations, right? That's way better than most, but it is not nearly enough. And you're getting a marginal return on that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be getting 75 or 80% of your business from past customers. But I'm talking about supercharging your referrals. Do you know how many of your past customers have a brother or a family or a mother or a downsize or an upsize or a kid going to school or a coworker that they're hearing someone talk about buying a house or moving, that because you're out of sight and out of mind, they're not referring to you as their mortgage guy or mortgage girl, and these people are just going, and they could be your customers, and they're coming to you, and they negotiate less, and they're easier to close, and they, are trusted, and they have belief in you, and we're not supercharging our people. So we have to supercharge our people, okay? Staying in touch frequently with past customers and referrals, it's the low-hanging fruit in your business. It's the free shit. It's the easy stuff. And many of us haven't done a very good job. Here's the other thing. I don't believe in paying for referrals. People don't want to feel like they've been bought. People want to refer because they like you and they know that you're going to give them a good experience. So again, you can only be successful if you deliver that good experience. The good experience is just baseline expectations. To most of them, receiving payment from you, especially when they're referring to a sister or a family or a friend, seems dirty to them, right? They just go, they don't want to make money on the backs of their family and friends. They just want them to be looked after. Second point, you can use the word referrals and referral sources to me and to us as we're going through this coaching series, and you can use it to your office. But when you're reaching out this day going forward, don't call them referrals. Don't ask your customers for a referral. Ask your customers for an introduction. An introduction seems no strings attached. Hey, would you mind making an introduction? No, I'd love to make an introduction. Hey, would you mind sending me a referral? The connotation of a referral is an expectation of a deal being done. There's an obligation to me if I refer you. And if I refer you, my brother or my neighbor or my coworker, and it doesn't get done, then I feel like I've wasted your time. It's up to you, Gary, if I make the introduction to earn their business and talk about our past experience and Dominion Lending Centers. So I want you to start using the term introduction, not referrals. Now, I do support, top referral sources and small gifts to your past customers, household surprises, books, coffee cards, taking care of a past customer, again, by incentivizing them, buying down the rate, covering legal on some occasions. It could be, appraisals, closing costs, whatever. Those are all really good, valuable things that when you have a customer coming back over and over and over and over that, that they should get because they've been a good customer. Or if they're referring somebody, they should get that on their next transaction. But not cash incentives. Cash is dirty, right? And, and a lot of new agents do it especially. They do it with realtors. And next time a realtor asks you for a cash incentive, and realtors have gotten better over the years, but next time they do that, say, listen, they're going to make $10,000 on this transaction. I'm an awesome mortgage broker. I'm one of the best in the business. I choose who I work with, right? You're working with that mortgage broker? Never bad about this. You go, I tell you the difference. I'm going to get your mortgage closed. You're going to make $10,000 commission. You're worried about getting a $300 or $400 commission on me getting your mortgage done? Wow. I may not be the right broker for you. Guess what they're going to do? Oh my God, no, I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, no, I want to work with the best. I want my $10,000 commission. It's the takeaway, right? You're deselecting, and by deselecting, they're selecting you. They come back and go, no, you're right. Let's do it, right? So, and this has to be your mentality everywhere you go. Okay, when someone has made an introduction to you, and they said, well, listen, I was talking to Scott at work. He's a really great guy. Him and his wife are just going through the home buying process. He told me he's at the bank, but he's totally open to having a conversation with you. Call Scott fast. Get a hold of him, right? And then I call the referral fast. And then make sure that person that made the introduction, you need to send them something quickly. You need to send them a $10 to $20 Starbucks card. Just says, hey, thank you for the introduction. I can't, I'm not going to share with you whether we do a deal or not. It's strictly confidential. I'm involved with all my clients. That bodes well because they've done business with you before. They've referred you business before. You can't share anything. You have to be the vault. But all of a sudden, they get a $20 Starbucks card, and they get it very, very quickly, whether it closes or not, because you've now rewarded behavior, not results. If you only send them a $100 gift basket when the mortgage closed, you've just trained your people. It's like a seal, right? You've only trained them to refer you, and the first one they refer you that doesn't close, they feel guilty and stop referring you. You train them to stop referring you the first time you don't get a mortgage done. It's not up to them. They shouldn't even know whether that mortgage completes or not. So train behavior. Please don't train results. Some referral or introduction partners are better than others. Here's what we know. 80% of your referrals are coming from 20% of your referral partners. So make a list. Put it as your top 3, bottom of this page. Make a list of every person who's ever sent you a referral, and then make a short list of 5 that have sent you more than one referral. And then if you have several that have sent you 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, they're in a special category. They're referring you 3, 4, 5 to 1 more than anybody else. You're going to do nicer things for them. You might occasionally buy them a holiday, right? You might say, hey, I'm covering your airfare when you and the family want to go away. Those are the things. They're not cash. They don't feel dirty. It just says, I love you. You're awesome. You help me build my business. I take good care of your customers. We're an awesome team. And it is way beyond transactional. We're friends now. And you have built a raving fan that is referring other referral sources, is making future introductions for you, and is introducing you to other good quality, like-minded realtors, because we travel in the tribe that we exemplify. If you got a real good referral partner and he understands it, when he refers you another realtor, guess what? That realtor is going to understand it as well. They're part of his tribe. He's deselected who he doesn't want part of his business. The quality of work partnership is already going to be narrowed down. You're going to have a good partner there. Okay, so the position. If I were you, I would make sure you're getting the most out of your people. If you have more capacity in one of them, and most of your people do have more capacity, I would give them a second hat, director of client care. I would be very organized. But if you think that you are really busy, and a lot of you are, I would hire a director of client care. $38,000 to $42,000 a year. It's an entry level. It isn't a real, difficult position. You're looking for someone who's got a nice, pleasing position, a pleasing personality. You're looking for someone who understands organization, very, very fine attention to detail. You're looking for someone who is conscientious, who has a really, really nice phone voice, and who has got ambition. The skills, Microsoft Office, Excel, we're going to teach them the DLC CRM or whatever CRM you're using. And we're going to tell them what we want them to do to our past customers, to our referral sources. And they're going to do it front to back, other than you signing some cards and making some phone calls. They're going to run it. And your next year, your business is going to increase 40 to 50%. I guarantee it. The quality of leads that are coming in on the new business are going to be easier to do business with than ever before. So the role, director of client care, the key, develop a consistent stay in touch program with all past customers. You're going to teach them that they should contact, right, that you and behalf of them want to contact your customers for just a catch-up call at least once per year. Twice is probably better, but every past customer, figure it out, see how many there is. If you have 1,000 of them, and there's 365 days a year, then you're going to make 4 calls a day, working 6 days a week. And all you're going to do is you're going to say, hey, first thing in the morning, 8, 9 a.m. And in many cases, guys, you hope to get an email. Hey, Deborah and David, it's Gary from DLC. Haven't talked to you for a couple years now. Just realized, you know what, that I dropped the ball. I should have stayed in better touch with you. Anyway, I was thinking about you. You guys, you know what, we're a great family to work with. Listen, the rates are still at an all-time low. If I can do anything for you, you have any questions, you want to know what's going on with your market, give me a call. A voice message is beautiful. A text message is beautiful. A phone call where you connect is the best. But you want to do that at least once or twice per year. You want to get in the habit. Sure, guys. For those of you with big database, it could be 4, 5, 6 calls a day. If you have really big databases, call me, and I'll give you the script for your director of WOW to call and make those calls for you. And her call in that case, when you're that big, is going to be, hey, Sam and Julie, it's Rebecca from, Gary Mauris's team. Gary's just on the other phone call right now, but he's been looking to actually touch bases with you. He was thinking about you. He was telling me, that you guys have done 2 or 3 mortgages with him. And he just wanted to let you know there's been a whole bunch of stuff going on in the industry. The rates, are still at an all-time low. Just wanted to know if you had any questions. Oh, well, actually, I do. I'm glad you called. Oh, could I speak to Gary? Well, listen, he's on a call right now, but let me give you his name and number. Can he call you tomorrow morning, or can he call you in an hour? And she's scheduling calls. So 2 levels. If you have a couple thousand customers or less, you can divide it up, do them yourself. If you've been like Billy Macklem, you've been in the business 30 years and you have thousands and thousands and thousands, we have to go to plan B, and I'll help you with that. It's merely a check-in call just to say hello. I wanted you to know that I'm still here. Let me know if you or your family needs anything. Second job of your director of client care is she's going to add them to your autopilot newsletter so that every month, without you ever pushing a button, that's why they call it autopilot, they're going to get a newsletter from you that talks about the market, that talks about DLC, that talks about, all things mortgages. It's just going to pop up in their email. They're going to see it comes directly from your email account every month. Some months they're going to read it, some months they're not, but they're going to be, and they're going to know that you still have them on the list, that you still care. Third, we want to make sure that same one customer that you called once a year, put them on your autopilot media, we want to make sure that they receive some sort of snail mail twice a year. You're just going to send them, hey, here's what the market's doing. Here's the most recent Bank of Canada. Here's what I expect for the next 5 years. It's going to be a 1-pager, very simple. By the way, this year, guys, all of Sherry Cooper's clips are being recorded. They're all 60-second clips after every Bank of Canada meeting, after every job post number, after every lockup. We're going to be doing 60-second clips, so you can use the video clips from our chief economist to send to your customers, right, as part of a video, right? But I also want you to do snail mail. Something comes, you made the effort, it should go to their house with a handwritten note that, says something personal about them. All it does is it'll resonate with them because you thought of them and you remembered something about them. Step number 1, stay in touch, program 1 call. Step number 2, autopilot media. That's a set and forget. Step number 3, snail mail. And your new girl is going to do all this, guys. This is not rocket science, and this isn't a big work task, believe you me. Number 4, your director of client care is going to scour social media sites and look for opportunities to wow your past customers and your referrals. Make a list of all your past customers, make a list of your referrals, add them on Facebook. There's a Facebook list so you can just monitor those people, your past customers and your referral sources. Every single morning for the first 30 minutes, your director of WOW scours those social media posts. And whenever she finds something interesting, oh my God, this past customer just had a new baby. They posted it on social media. She gets to jump on your account and say, oh my God, Steve, you had a new baby. Archie, I love that name. Congratulations. Maybe you have to stop assuming the person will be a girl or woman, Hershey. You know what I mean, Lise? I mean, the point is that it doesn't matter who they are. You might say you just saw that your son, you might find something where the son just won the soccer tournament. Find something that is meaningful for them around their family and use that as an opportunity for your director of WOW to send a small gift out. They're going to go, how did you know? They're not even going to think, that you've seen it on social media. Maybe you made a comment, that's great. But when you follow up 3 or 4 days later and there's something, about parenting or whatever, just make sure that you make sure that you look for those opportunities to wow. You're going to have one person do that. It could be the announcement of birth of a child, death of a parent, a promotion at work, maybe a child who's broke his leg, and maybe at that point, because it is something, special, send a $50 gift certificate and 2 Cineplex Odeon movie passes with a note that just says, listen, I know you have a lot going on recently. I've been thinking about you both. Hope you take some time this weekend to maybe catch a dinner and a movie on me. They're going to get that. They're going to go, oh my God, I can't believe it. And they're going to forever and ever and ever and ever never forget you. And they're going to refer and be raving fans. And it's just because you've done something nobody else does. You've recognized them and you've made the effort. Simple. Now, the reason why I say you want this director of WOW at $38,000 to $42,000 a year, entry-level position, big smile on their face, you know, you're not hiring for, you know, anything incredibly difficult here, whether it's male or female, to Lisa's point there. But it's a simple position that, you know, you can hire, and they're just going to put this into a rhythm chart. They're going to do it automatically. It's going to be done. There's going to be a little bit of your input here in the areas that I've discussed with you, but guess what's going to happen? They are going to say, I can't believe it. They are going to be referring more business than ever before. And you're going to look back and you're going to say, Gary Mauris, hiring that person was the best investment I ever made. You hire that director of WOW. You love that person. You get to know them and their family. You keep them there forever. Give them, you know, nominal increases and small bonuses when you find ways to recognize the good that they're doing, and your business will explode. 15 minutes a day touring social media feeds with the sole purpose of commenting on feeds of those that you're tracking, you know, will pay a huge dividend. Make sure your comment is more than a like. You know, you get much more impact with a meaningful comment. You guys, you know, if you're on social media, if you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, I have thousands of followers on Facebook. I'm on there personally every day. I'm probably 30 to 45 minutes a day. And sometimes it's late at night, you know, when I get home or I get out of a travel schedule, but I always do it because it's important. Director referral care, right? So as we said, guys, it's just a reminder when I wrap this up. Always ask for an introduction, not a referral. A referral intimates an obligation. If it doesn't close, they won't refer again. Reward behavior. Make a list of anyone that has ever referred to you. Make sure you have a stay in touch program, not only for your past customers, but for your past referrals. Here's what people need, guys, when it comes to employees, right? Like these are the basic life skills that every person needs. They need to belong. Like a human nature to want to belong to a tribe, to be part of something, to be accepted, is ranked only second to food and shelter. People and your employees and your brokers also, and anyone in your circle of influence, they want to feel secure. So your employees, they need to know, right, with certainty and clarity what their position is, and that you admire and value them, and that there's a future. You know, they need to know that when shit hits the fan, or when all hell is breaking loose, you know, along with the need to belong and the need to feel secure, they need to know that there's order in chaos, that you have their back always when they're going through turbulence. You know, I've used this expression or this example for a long time. Imagine when you're on an aircraft, and we were flying to Cancun last week, we got some pretty nasty turbulence coming home. Imagine if the stewardess were crying, right? And we're, oh my God, they're strapped in, we know it. But they all look calm, cool, and collected. I know that they have our back. I know they've seen this before, right? Your people need to know that there's calm and chaos. So, you know, those are some simple needs. They also need to be flawsome, right? You need to have fun in your office, right? Like, you know, you don't need perfection. You need authenticity way more than perfection. And it's okay for them to swear once in a while, or have fun, or play practical jokes, or be silly. Let's go to work and have a good time in what we do. You know, yeah, we're in a financial service. Yeah, we're bankers. Yeah, we're regulated. Yeah, we don't tolerate any bullshit, any bad behavior, any willfully being blind. We don't tolerate any of that bullshit ever. But we do tolerate having fun. We look for it. The last thing that people need, they need to belong, feel secure, order, and chaos. They need evidence of progress. If you have somebody and they haven't got a new tier to hit, or they're not inspired to grow, to go beyond, or they don't think there's something more in your company with them, or they're not being recognized when they're doing something good, then work to them feels like a life sentence. Oh my God, I got 15 more years before I retire. Ugh, I hate this. Are you kidding me? They are out there and they are disenchanted. They are, you know, they need to have evidence of progress. So people need to be recognized. They need to know that they can go somewhere else. They need to be thanked, and they need to be, you know, included, that they're contributing into your business. Otherwise, they view work again as a life sentence. So, and as I said, the salary range in that position is not expensive. You're looking for someone organized, energetic, friendly demeanor, great voice. They need to be close to home, guys. You know, I'm okay with these people being remote. If you haven't got a workspace for them, a lot of people will do great things working remote. You know, they have time to, you know, run their family. They'll work late into the night. You know, it's amazing, I think, how, you know, how that's changed. My idea and my acceptance of having remote workers has really changed, right? So as long as they're clear, proficient, you know, in the basic Microsoft Office, Excel, and have a keen interest in learning, you know, I think you can find that person fairly easily. You're going to work them incredibly hard for the first 60 days, as we said, so they manage expectations. And here's the last thing that I want to share with you. I talk about that unexpected emotional connection, that like when you're on social media and you're looking for ways to wow your clients because they've had a life event or something that's very personal to them. When that customer experience is a delightful surprise, something they didn't expect, they are 4 times as likely to refer you to somebody else, to run to Facebook and to post something on social media, to refer customers and to become raving fans. It's that delightful surprise that's emotional and unexpected. All right, guys. Well, listen, what do we got? That was good timing. We got 4 minutes. I'm going to ask you to all a favor. I got a list of all of you who are on the phone. I've been watching, you know, your questions and your feedback. I have hundreds, probably of more hours and training modules. I'm going to be doing series like this for our owners. I'm going much more in depth of profitability of companies and tax strategies. This is something that is very near and dear. I'm asking you for one thing. I'm asking every one of you for one thing, right? Because it helps us spread the word. I want you to go on social media, Instagram, YouTube. I want you to tag me if you're not already on. And I want you to be honest. I want you to say, I just finished the second module with Gary Mauris. Oh my God, next level stuff. It's great. I want you to say, it's awesome. It's not awesome. He could have done this. I don't care. I'm not afraid of the truth. I want the feedback, but I want it online because I want other people to look for this and go, oh my God, I want that too. I think that we can make everyone in the Canadian mortgage space much better. When I plan on doubling our company in the next 5 years, going from $39 billion to $80 billion, I need you to double your business, every single one of you. I need to do more of this. I need to work with you. So I need you to help me spread this, okay? Competition is fierce. So please, the one favor I'm asking you, get on social media today and tell me what you thought of the first 2 modules. Now, last thing, all of you know, guys, I love the space. I'm so grateful to all of you. It's been an honor, you know, working through and developing these modules. We're going to break them into 60-minute modules. We're going to do more of them. We're going to find different ways to communicate and connect. We're going to especially work with the very top performers in the country because I know, you know, in most cases we'll get a much higher return from them. They'll actually do great things with it. I want you all to be there. I need you, now that you're part of my tribe, I need you to be emailing me and Tara, Gary@dlc.ca and Tara@dlc directly. If you have questions, if you have ideas, if you have topics you'd like me to write curriculum, I'm enlisting you to help me because most of you are much better at doing mortgages than I am. I'm okay at business and creating raving fans and communicating, and I think I'm okay at leading, but you are all better at doing mortgages. So you can share best practices with me. I can share leadership skills with you, and we can make 2020 kick-ass. Thank you, guys. Please go online. Tell me what you thought. And Lise, I'm going to see you this, I guess, Saturday or Sunday, like many others of you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great day.